Peace, my family, and royal back to all, and those coming out of that good cocoon for the first time. Welcome. This is your girl, the butterfly, and we about to take off. Let's fly. Just want to send you all that good healing energy your way. Peace, love, happiness, harmony, and abundance. Hope you guys are out there keeping your mind right in that good mind. I came out here today to share another clip from a master teacher's book called What is Spirit and Soul Question. This right here most certainly will help you on this good journey within. So with that being said, let's get started. Question is, what is a spirit question? And this is Dr. Malachi's answer. The origin of the word spirit comes from the Latin spiritus, which means breath, breath of God, inspiration. In Latin, from the Old Roman, meaning to breathe. In Spanish, which is derived from Latin, the word spirit is alma or espiritu. And it goes on. It also means espiritu, alma, soul, intelligence, wit. Espiritu also means immaterial being, strength, courage, energy, the purest part of one's body, the spirit of time, poor in spirit. This definition is really describing self. So it goes on. On the other hand, the Latin definition for soul is emanating and vital principle in man, which is credited with the faculties of thought, action, and emotion. In theology, spirit is the spiritual nature of a human being considered in relation to the Elohim, regarded as immortal, separable from the body at death, and also susceptible to happiness or misery in a future state. The Spanish word for soul is alma, which bears many meanings, which means the spiritual element of a human being from which overstanding the memory and will comes from. And then it goes into B, which strengthens something, and then it goes into C, principal part of a person or individual, central part, void, solid of something, and it goes on. As you can see from the Spanish definitions, they call spirit soul and soul spirit. When you read any Spanish book, you will see if they're referring about your being, they speak of the innermost part of you. It's referred to as the alma or soul. And if you look at the following definition of mind, you will see it's also describing soul. So it goes into the mind. The human consciousness that originated in the brain and is manifested especially in thought, perception, feeling, memory, or imagination. And it goes on. The second college edition, which is the American Heritage Dictionary. In Arabic, the word for spirit is nefs, from the root word nefasa, meaning to breathe, inhale, exhale, to take a breath, pause for breath, to take a rest. In Hebrew, the spirit in nefesh, when the ruah comes from the oil. It's the oil. It's a part of the all. When the ruah became physical, it became nefs, and the spirit in the body, as stated in the Quran 15:29, and I quote, "When I have fashioned him in due proportion and breath into him of my spirit," the same as in Genesis 2:7, and it states, "The Lord God Yahweh Elohim formed man of the dust of the ground and breath into his nostrils, the breath of life. and man became a living soul. So it goes on. In the Quran 286, a spirit is defined as nafs, a person, the same word as nefesh, which is used in Hebrew, and it also means your personality. This is why the word for myself in Arabic language is nafsi or nafsiyah. And nafs is merely spirit, the spirit, which is the life force that exists in all living things, even plants. There is no spookism to it, like some people who want to look heavy in religion would like you to think. Anything that's not physical or intangible becomes eerie or unnatural. So it goes on. Is the spirit what takes you to the next plane? Question. And this is Dr. Malachi's answer. Yes, it is a spirit that divides, let me repeat this answer. And this is Dr. Malachi's answer. Yes, it is the spirit that decides whether you move to a higher plane or burn out your desire for the physical plane. The person who has strong love for the physical plane will desire rebirth into the physical plane. Yet, the spirit fights the urge to remain physical, satisfying all physical desires that stem from emotions. And it goes on. How are emotions related with physical desires? Question. Alright, so let me repeat that question. How are emotions related with physical desires? Question. And this is Dr. Malachi's answer. Your desires stem from your emotions. For example, you have 1, sexual emotions, which is the desire for satisfaction and pleasure. 2, then you have the gluttonous emotions, which is desire for an extreme amount of food. Then you have 3, and you have anger emotions, which can result from not fulfilling your desires. And when you don't get these things that you desire, this sets these emotions into motion. How? Question. It is these emotions, if you don't get what you want, that makes you angry, makes you fight, or even makes you kill. For instance, gluttony causes you to overeat and lead to sickness and disease. Then to obesity, which leads to death, fat around the heart. And then it goes into sex causes you to lust and lead to sickness and diseases, which can lead you to death, AIDS. I'm not saying don't have feelings. However, you must be in control of your emotions. Don't let your anger get you into trouble because you can't control your mouth and regret once you've killed someone. Don't let your sexual desires lead you to take chances you wouldn't normally take and regret once you have AIDS. Not to mention the host of other sexually transmitted diseases. When you are over emotional, you can get into a fight and have regrets like Saddam Hussein, and it goes on, had. He controlled his greed or wanting the wealth of Kuwait. He would not be out of the water, and his people would not be starving to death. There is no Allah for him. Refer to this. Does God help his own? Question. Scroll. Or a person who is obese now regrets that he is so fat that he can hardly get around and have to struggle to breathe. So, you see how these emotions lead to other emotions like fear and regret. And unless you are in control of your emotions, you will not be able to overcome your physical desires, and your spirit will not be able to encourage the soul to rise into the spiritual plane. So it goes on. What is meant by the spiritual plane? Question. And it's Dr. Malachi's answer. When you speak of the spiritual plane, as well as other planes, this raises a question. What is a plane? Question. The most common mistake is imagining planes as layers laying one above the other in space. This is incorrect. Everything is vibrating. Everything vibrates, which manifests itself in different moods and schemes. The best way to express vibration is called mood. Each mood makes up what is known to us as planes. So planes are moods and schemes of vibration existing very unique and unified forms, and may be likened to various degrees of temperatures, such as extremely low to extremely high. The natural mood of vibration ranges from very high and fast to very low and slow, and are basically distinct and intricate moods of vibration woven into one another so uniquely that one cannot determine where one plane begins and the other ends. And it goes on. Nothing in existence rests. Every sense man has vibrates. Every sense man has vibrates. And everything you see, hear, or touch vibrates. Vibration is what keeps the universe in order. The soul is what enables man to tune into these vibrations of the universe. Man vibrates on the alpha wave, link wave, which is the middle C note in music. This note causes vibrations within the chemistry of the body itself. Therefore, are the 7 planes, and each plane has its purpose, as all things has its purpose, just as you have a purpose for being here. And it goes on, expressing the 7 planes, advanced mental, the etheric body, the etheric soul, going into the 3 worlds, Nasa, meaning the material plane, which is the plane that we're in, Malachi, which is the plane of angelic beings, and then you have Lahud, which is the plane of the Most High. And again, it goes into, let's go back, the material plane, which is the carnal desire and the material. Then you go into the plane of force, which is the plane of between voluntary and involuntary actions. And then you go into the spiritual plane, which is where emotions are manifested. And then you go into the mental plane, which is Malakut, Igigi, spirit, soul, thoughts are formed. And then the 4th plane is where man and mind meet and they balance everything. And then you go on to the 5th, which is divine truth, the guardian angels, the etherins. And then you go into the 6th plane, which is divine reality, a spark of life, etherins. So let me rewind this back. the divine truth with the fifth plane is the guardian angels. And then the divine reality is the spark of life, the etherins. And then you go into the bosom, eternal bliss, the all, which is the etheric soul part of you. And so it goes on. The 7 planes have 7 subplanes, which are able to see by the 7 subplanes of the material plane. So the 7 subplanes of the material plane are a reservoir of mental channels down into you through the etheric core. All humans' thoughts are coming out of the reservoir of a mental bank called a mental reservoir. One moment. Alright, now. So then you go into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it goes into number 1, solids region, number 2, liquids or chemicals, then it goes into gases, dense physical, then it goes in the first ether, electric ether, then it goes into the second ether, which is life ether, then it goes into the third ether, which is light ether, then it goes into the fourth ether, which is mental reflecting. So it goes on. Physical beings vibrate on NASA, which is 1, 2, and 3, which is the realm we're in right now. So NASA is solid, liquid, and gases. And you as a physical being have a spirit in it. And the spirit in you descended down from the etheric. The physical you descended down into a physical body. And so the etheric beings travel down and materialize into the body. And the Elohim and Anunnaki are living in the realm of Malachi, which is the 4th plane. Malachi is a pathway that spiritual beings come into. Spiritual beings can travel. Some extraterrestrials vibrate on the rim and start going up higher. When the spiritual beings reach the 4th realm, then you'll decide to come to the physical plane. For example, in order for Elohim and Anunnaki to become a spirit, so as to leave the stage of the soul and personify, the first appearance is the crystallization, which gives the etheric body or what people call a spirit form. Then if they continue to slow up in vibration, they start to take on forms of the magnetic currents that surround the Earth's atmosphere. And finally, they become a physical body, governed by a synthetic nervous system, which is in tune to the magnetic force field that surrounds the planet. So man is basically in tune with magnetism. That's what keeps his physical composition together. And it goes on. If all magnetic forces were to release on the physical plane, all the elements would explode. All the molecules would increase their speed, vibrated rapidly, and the human beings would transform from a physical being to a spiritual being. However, human beings are caught up on 1, 2, and 3. Your world is a 3-dimensional world, and you have to move into the 4th plane. And so it goes on. Also, the spiritual plane makes us aware of our inner senses, which is why you make statements like, my intuition tells me, or I have a niche, or I have a hint. I have a very strong feeling. Women's intuition. These responses stem from secondary senses that you once had corresponding to the senses of the physical world. So the physical senses of hearing, seeing, feeling have spiritual counterparts, which the spiritual body receives impressions. So let's see. All right, now, where was I? So according to your leading science books, you have 5 senses. Actually, you have 7. And that is see, hear, taste, touch, See here, touch, taste is a sense of touch. Because matter touches taste buds and smells. It's a sense of touch because particles touch nerves that react to smell. And you did have the 4 higher original senses, which are telepathy, intuition, psychometry, and clairvoyance. And so it goes on. First, telepathy, which these are your higher senses you originally had, the 4 higher senses. And it goes like this. Number 1, telepathy, mental communication, the transferring of thoughts from one being to another without the use of words or wires. Number 2, intuition, the quick perception of truth by the mind without the intervention of any process of thought. And then you have psychometry, which is object reading, the ability to identify or tell something about an object by picking up thought waves implanted by someone previously associated with the article. And then you go on to 4, clairvoyance, clear sight to see into other dimensions, second sight, and an awareness of distinct objects and events. And it goes on. These are the senses that allowed you to be in direct contact with the Elohim and Anunnaki at all times and at random. However, you lost your ability to have random access to them with the removal of the Barthian gland. The Barthian gland is the organ that gives you the ability to use your 4 higher senses, which, when active, has the ability to foresee the future and the past, speed up molecules, elevate or levitate, and heal, and by permission only, you were capable of changing from a mortal to an etheric being. And that right there is the end of his answer. So I'm going to leave it at that because that right there was beautiful. So it's something to just, take in, take a look at, and is encouraged to check out for yourself. Again, this is on Scrap, so if you want to check it out for yourself, you should do so. This most definitely will help you on this good journey within to do a self-study and go over it yourself, because this will help you raise your frequencies and raise your vibrations. So it's real, family. And again, if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer. And again, you can also find these books too on All Eyes on Egypt bookstores, and sometimes they have it on Amazon, different places like that. But yeah, some people are selling them, so this will definitely help you if you are interested. Again, know that you are loved beyond this world. I hope you know that. Again, continue to keep spreading the love and reaching that love frequency within you so you can begin to spread that with others. And on that note, release our master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. L. Peace, salam, and Wadu.